Hey there guys, Panobi here, bringing you another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. This one's going to be a bit of a breath of fresh air. It's a little bit more of an original deck profile. This one's going to be an anti-meta Chaos Alien deck profile. I've always loved aliens, and I've always had I've always had the skeleton for it, but really not much to do with it. So exploring some of the ways that people are trying to utilize and implement aliens throughout the past couple formats, I decided to tweak it and take my own variation and run with it. And I came up with this. Basically, the point of the deck is to make early plays going into your main rank 4 King of the Pharaoh Imps to generate advantage and set you up with consistency to get your Ammonite plays going. And then you want to go into Golgar and generate locks using abusing and using continuous spell and trap cards. So let's just go ahead and get into the deck profile. You're starting with the 1 copy of Rescue Rabbit for your 3 alien shock troopers. An easy way to get them into the graveyard, and also an easy way to make a quick early game King of the Pharaoh Imps. Then for the rest of the aliens, you have 1 copy of Alien Warrior just for another alien target, basically. Then your 3 copies of Alien Ammonite, really amazing card, basically the Wolf Bark or the Blizzard of the deck to bring back an alien monster, and then you can instant synchro 5. So you'll be able to go into Golgar, and that also is the start of your lights. Then you have 1 copy of Photon Thrasher, and 2 copies of Kage Takage. These basically are in the deck to try to help you spam rank 4s, so that you can keep spamming those King of the Pharaoh Imps. You can keep getting either more Kage Takages or Alien Ammonites into your hand to make those plays happen. Also, Light and Darks. Then you have 2 copies of Summoner Monk. Summoner Monk again. You can use it to ditch some of your spell cards if some of the continuous spells during the early stages of the game are not able to you're not able to set up with them. So it adds some consistency to the deck in that sense, and also just lets you, like I said, spam those rank 4 plays. 1 copy of Star Drawing. Star Drawing in conjunction with either Photon Thrasher, Kage Takage, Summoner Monk, or much slower but even Alien Warrior or Shock Troopers. You can use it to overlay and get a plus off of that, or go even depending on what you did. But also, you can use it as a level 5, which you can use to overlay with your level 5 Synchro Golgar, so you can make rank 5s with it, which I thought was also a cool way to utilize that card. And then 1 copy of Zephyros and 1 copy of Thunder King. Zephyros, another great card that you can just summon and spam into a rank 4 play with, and it has some sort of utility in the grave, especially since you're running a lot of continuous cards. And then 1 Thunder King Ryo, basic anti-meta staple. And with 5 lights and 5 darks, you're playing the BLS. So it's a pretty sizable monster lineup, but you're going to be thinning the deck with things like Summoner Monk, with King of the Pharaoh Imps, with your Rescue Rabbit, etc. Moving on into the spells, you've got 2 Pot of Dualities for consistency, 2 MSTs, and 2 Forbidden Lances to help get rid of troublesome cards, and then to help make your plays go off, which is important. Then for the continuous side of things, you have your 2 copies of Kaiser of the Colosseum, obviously a great anti-meta card unless you're going against Boojins. Just abuse it with Golgar, have Golgar sitting on the field. Kaiser, they can't do anything during their turn in terms of swarming or spamming on you. So obviously really good there. And then 2 copies of Deck Lockdown. Deck Lockdown making it so basically Thunder King in spell form. They can't recruit from their deck either by adding it to their hand or even by special summoning from the deck. So all the things like Lone Fire and Jellies, things like that, just completely useless with that on board. And then last and potentially least, 1 Swords of Concealing Light. Swords of Concealing Light, a cool card, being able to flip all your opponent's monsters face down, and then Golgar, you can just bounce it. So there's some cool abusive plays to be said with that. And also, even without a Golgar play set up, it's still a somewhat acceptable card. For the traps, you have your staples, 1 Warning, 1 Bottomless, and 1 Compulse. Opting not to play Torrential, since a lot of times you're trying to get set up, and also you don't want to have no monsters for Kaiser, etc. Then you have 1 copy of Offering to the Snake Deity. The 2 main boss monsters you're going into, well, I don't know if they call it a boss monster, but the 2 main extra deck options you want to go into, King of the Pharaoh Imps and Golgar, are going to be reptiles, as well as all your Ammonite, Shock Troopers, and even your Alien Warrior, even your Kage Takages. So you are running like a 7 targets in the main deck. and the 2 big targets in the extra deck. So it does warrant its place, but I can't justify playing it at more than 1, especially with the room that's taken up by Triple Fiendish Chain. Amazing card to abuse with Golgar, especially since a lot of times it gets left on the field because your opponent XYZs or whatever the case may be. But the fact that you can shut your opponent down during their turn, your turn, you can bounce it with Fiendish Chain, you can get some really abusive plays. And then 3 copies of Call of the Haunted. This is just a completely degenerate card with this deck. The fact that you can Call the Haunted and Alien Ammonite, Call the Haunted one of your level 4 alien monsters. You can go Golgar, then you can bounce the 2 Call the Haunteds and do it all over again. Very recyclable, and that's why you have to play it at 3, just to increase the odds of being able to have 2 at a time. And then last but not least, you have the 1 copy of Safe Zone, which is a really cool card being able to protect your monsters. The fact that Golgar lets you choose which cards you're bouncing, you don't have to bounce this, so you can use it to protect Golgar. You can use it to protect any of your monsters while under Kaiser Coliseum, which can generate some cool field plays for you. But also you can just Safe Zone an opponent's monster that you're having trouble with, and then you can bounce this with Golgar and abuse it again and get rid of their monster. And then the last card is the 1 Vanity's Emptiness. Just flip it, your opponent can't special summon on their turn, your turn, just bounce it with Golgar to reset it. And that's really cool because you can wait to activate this card again until your opponent invests some sort of resource into being able to special summon. So that overall is the main deck. Going into the extra, 3 copies of Golgar, that's the only synchro I run. Golgar, obviously, the heart and soul of the deck, being able to bounce all those continuous cards, things like Deck Lockdown to keep them live, things like Vanities to force resources out of your opponent, Fiendish, and Call of the Haunted just to be degenerate. And then moving on to the extra deck, the 2 copies of King of the Feral Imp. Obviously a big star for the deck because it's the only thing that's going to really allow you to consistently get Ammonite, multiple copies of Ammonite to your hand. Then for some staples, you have 1 copy of Honor Arc, 1 copy of Ragna Zero, 1 Diamond Dire Wolf, 1 Cowboy, 1 Maestroke. I consider Maestroke still an extra deck staple. I really still like Maestroke. I know he gets a lot of hate. And 1 copy of Black Ship. So that's kind of your staple rank 4 options right there. And then for some role players, you have the 1 Key Beetle. The fact that you can make it with Summoner Monk and a Zephyros play, or Zephyros, Summoner Monk, or Kage to Kage, any conjunction of those cards. The fact that you can make a play with Key Beetle and Safe Zone, or Key Beetle and Vanities, is obviously a strong option for the deck. 1 copy of Heartland Draco. When you have a continuous spell card, they can't swing on him, and since he can attack directly by attaching 1, you can win some games off of that, along with Kaiser Coliseum, or even Deck Lockdown. Then you have the 1 copy of Volcasaurus just for rank 5. You can put 2 Golgars together, or a Golgar and a Straw Drawing. Just an easy way to blow up a monster. And then the 1 Gaia Dragon Thunder Charger to lay on top of it, so you can still swing that turn and do some piercing. So some interesting ways to generate damage from the extra deck, and pretty standard with rank 4 options. So that's the deck. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Chaos, Anti-Meta Aliens, whatever you want to call it. Really a joy for me to work on this deck and play test with it to kind of tweak it and get the numbers right and be satisfied with the deck profile that I could present to you guys. I will leave a Dueling Network image in the description so you can go ahead and look at this deck if you want to play around with it yourself. Overall, it's been a fun deck. Hopefully you guys enjoy. If you want to see any other decks, just comment and let me know. Have a good one.